Good evening, friends. Thanks for your valuable comments on my videos on Tutor Coup and Twitter. I make sure I read all of them and post them on social media. As you know, viewers, there's a huge attack through Western forces on India and our Prime Minister. The latest is via Twitter. Twitter's attempt to shield Congress over the toolkit controversy exposes USA's regime change operation against Modi. Why does this seem to look like a repeat of what happened to Donald Trump? I believe the handlers of the toolkit are the same. They want an India that can be controlled by them, not a strong and independent India under a dynamic leader like Modi. The conduct of Twitter reveals that there is an international plot underway against the Indian government, and it is undeniable at this point that the USA is attempting one of its regime change operations in India. A Congress toolkit surfaced on social media which described a deliberate attempt by the Congress party to use the COVID-19 crisis to undermine NDA government at the center. The toolkit spoke of deliberately maligning the Kumbh Mela and blocking beds and using international media to aid the Congress campaign against BJP. The Congress party has called it fake and since then written a letter to Twitter, following which the platform has added a manipulated media label to a toolkit tweet by BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra. The Indian government requested the platform to remove the tag since an investigation into the matter was underway, but Twitter proceeded to add the label to more tweets by BJP politicians. The conduct of Twitter reveals that there is an international plot underway against the Indian government, and it is undeniable at this point that the USA is attempting one of its regime change operations in India. Twitter's actions of the Congress toolkits ought to be seen in that light. The platform's actions in 2020 reveal an attempt to act on Biden's behalf to ensure Trump's defeat. After subverting US democracy, it appears that the platform is making an attempt to influence Indian elections as well. Twitter engaged in malicious conduct during the farmers' protests as well, when the government instructed the platform to remove tweets that peddled dangerous fake news and conspiracy theories that could endanger the law and order situations in the country. The social media giant refused to do so. Instead, in its response justifying its decision, Twitter used the same phrase that it did during the Arab Spring. There is enough evidence to indicate that the Arab Spring itself was incited by USA, which had a devastating impact in the region. For Twitter to use that particular phrase in the Indian context was the first clear sign that its actions were backed by the US government. I strongly think that India should ban Twitter and now move to Coup or Tutor, which are Indian apps. This will leave them high and dry since their biggest market is India. If they have made some contributions to COVID pandemic, it's better to throw it back at them. We don't need Twitter. Meanwhile, Sonia Gandhi's second blue-eyed boy, after Shashi Tharoor, Kamal Nath's Indian Corona video stirs a massive row. BJP decries attempt to malign the nation. This seems a continuation of the earlier news viewers. They all seem like one big force trying to tear India apart. In another shocking statement, former Madhya Pradesh CM Kamal Nath claimed that the world was describing COVID-19 now as India Corona amid the second wave. On Saturday, BJP national spokesperson Sambit Patra released an undated video in which the senior Congress leader is heard mocking the theory about COVID-19 originating from China. Referring to the surge in novel coronavirus cases in India, he alleged that UK PM Boris Johnson had banned flights to India owing to the scare of the Indian corona. Kamal Nath is heard saying in the video, we should say China, Chinese corona, Chinese corona. If you remember, when it started in January 2020, they would say this corona is from China. It was made in a laboratory and it came from a particular city. Where have we reached today? Today, the world calls it Indian corona, he says. You have seen that the British PM said that cancel all flights as we are scared of the Indian corona. They have banned the entry of students and the people working there owing to the fear that they will bring Indian corona. India is recognized in the world today because of this. Forget my country is great, he says. Now India has become COVID. You cannot fool anyone by suppressing this. Going a step further, he claimed that Mera Bharat Mahan slogan has become redundant in India, is now known only because of COVID-19 outbreak. Hitting out at the ex-MP CM, Patra asserted that leaders of the Sonia Gandhi-led party take pleasure in maligning the country. Moreover, he attributed this to the fact that Congress had signed an MOU with the Communist Party of China on August 7, 2008. What we know is that he does not care for India or Indian pride. For all you know, Congress will soon start speaking Chinese as well. The center orders all social media sites to delete posts of Indian variant sites, WHO report. Taking offense to the term Indian variant of COVID-19, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MEITY, on Friday has issued a directive to all social media platforms to remove all content referring or implying to the Indian variant immediately. The center has cited the recent clarification issued by WHO stating that B16172 variant found in India was not classified as the Indian variant. A day earlier, Singapore too directed social media giants, Twitter and Facebook, to carry the correction notice to all end users in Singapore about a Singapore variant, as it has now been classified as a subvariant of B1617.2. Meanwhile, Uddhav Thackeray made a jibe at PM Modi. Amid opposition BJP's criticism over the duration of his visit to cyclone-hit Konkan region of Maharashtra, Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray hit back, saying that he was at least taking stock of the situation on the ground and not conducting an aerial survey in a helicopter. His remarks were apparently aimed at Prime Minister Modi, who recently conducted an aerial survey in Gujarat, where Cyclone Taukte caused considerable damage earlier this week. Uddhav Thackeray on Friday visited Ratnagiri and Sindhudurg districts in Konkan to know the ground situation in the aftermath of the cyclone and directed the authorities to complete the crop loss assessment within 2 days. However, BJP leaders in Maharashtra targeted Thackeray over the duration of his visit. While former Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis said he was surprised to know that Uddhav Thackeray was making political comments during his merely 3-long tour of Konkan, leader of opposition in Legislative Council Praveen Darekar sought to know how the Uddhav Thackeray could understand in just 3 hours the extent of damage caused by the cyclone. "I've not come here to respond to opposition's criticism," he said at Malwan in Maharashtra's Sindhudurg. Well, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, if you had concentrated more on Mumbai, so many mysterious deaths, right from Sushant Singh to Disha Salian to Mansukh Hiren, would never have happened. And if you were efficient, as you say, all these would have been solved by the Mumbai police, who themselves are under scrutiny for corruption and scams. Meanwhile, it looks like these OTT platforms are not here to entertain, but to divide people and fill them with hatred for each other. The latest series, The Family Man 2 web series, is facing flack for portraying Tamilians as vicious and LTTE as terrorists. Nam Tamilar Kachi, which is NTK founder Seaman, on Friday demanded calling off the Amazon Prime web series, The Family Man 2, as it portrays Tamils as vicious and the LTTE as terrorists. In a statement issued there, Seaman said that the trailer of the web series, The Family Man 2, is shocking. The series seeks to internationally portray the LTTE as terrorists and Tamils as vicious people. It is no coincidence that Chennai has been chosen as a location, Seaman said. According to him, the web series story revolves around an Elam in Sri Lanka, woman who is portrayed as a militant. The color of her dress resembles that of an LTTE uniform, with dialogues referring to links between the militant group and the Pakistani ISI, Seaman said. In a situation where 2 lakh Tamils in Elam have been slaughtered by the tyranny of Sinhala chauvinism, the attempt to portray the Tamils as terrorists through a web series that stands as the greatest Democrats and seeking justice in the international forums through moral and legal struggle is highly commendable, Seaman added. According to him, as soon as the trailer of the series was shown, which was created to mislead Tamils, was released, Tamils all over the world have been registering their condemnation with great anger. Urging the web series to be banned, Seaman said that already the films such as Inam and Madras Cafe that portrays Tamils in the wrong manner were refrained from screening in theatres due to widespread opposition. All movies meant for theatrical releases are now having to move on to OTT. The latest Telugu film, Kalyan Dev's Super Machi, which also features Rhea Chakravarti, also plans to be shown on OTT. With movie theaters shutting down across the globe due to the pandemic, big films as well as small films are making their way to OTT. Many Telugu films have already been released on OTT, and people are watching it, and the money that they get is much less. Even star heroes like Nani seems to be stepping towards OTT. Meanwhile, there are speculations that another Tollywood movie will be streaming on OTT soon. Now, with Rhea Chakravarti featuring in it, I wonder if this movie will ever see the light of day, or if anyone will watch the movie after the SSR death. Movie Radhe's villain, Sanjay Shaltri, who played one of the henchmen in Salman Khan's Radhe, Your Most Wanted By, has spoken about the negative reaction that the film has received. Radhe actor Sanjay Shaltri, who played the henchman Lota in the film, has commented on the negative reaction from critics for the film and trolling that has been directed towards it. Sanjay was joined by Gautam Gulati as henchman to the primary antagonist, Rana, played by Randeep Hooda. It has become Salman's lowest rated film on IMDb with a score of 1.7 by 10. In an interview with Indian Express, Sanjay said that a few negative reactions do not matter in the larger scheme of things. The film clocked 4.2 million views on day one. That's a record in itself. How does a lakh or two trolls matter then? He said. He used to be an army officer in Bhutan before he took voluntary retirement and joined the entertainment industry. He said that he met Salman by chance. It's not a few negative reactions, Sanjay. You're underestimating the people's emotions after SSR death. Twitter marks BJP leaders' post on Congress toolkit as manipulated. Now, the IT ministry steps in and calls it biased. The government has asked Twitter to remove the manipulated media tag as the matter is pending before the law enforcement agency and made it clear that the social media platform cannot pass judgment when the issue is under investigation. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has written to Twitter objecting to its tagging some of the posts on an alleged Congress toolkit against the Modi government as manipulated media. In a letter seeking that the tag be removed, the ministry has said the move by Twitter appears prejudged, prejudiced, and arbitrary. Among those whose posts were tagged is BJP spokesperson Sapit Patra. The BJP itself is yet to officially respond to Twitter, although leaders complained that the platform was biased against the party. The Congress, meanwhile, said the tagging had vindicated its stand that the toolkit allegations were a forgery and a fraud by the BJP. The IT ministry later says the matter is being investigated by a law enforcement agency and Twitter had acted before the conclusion of the probe. Sources in the BJP said the party IT cell was consulting legal experts over a response to Twitter's move. Twitter has been taking a biased stand towards BJP and its activists for some time. We have taken it seriously. If it can tag our tweets as manipulated at the advice of the Congress party, the IT ministry of this government, whom many call fascist, could ask it to tag everything Rahul Gandhi posts as fake and manipulated, a party leader said. Meanwhile, the Indian Medical Association has come out strongly against Baba Ramdev after a video of his went viral that showed the yoga guru casting aspersions on allopathy. The IMA has threatened to move court if the Union Health Ministry does not take cognizance of the remarks made by Ramdev. The IMA has taken objection to two statements in particular, one where Ramdev allegedly said, allopathy ek aisi stupid and diwaliya science hai, and another where he remarked, लाखों लोगों की मौत एलोपैथी की दवाई खाने से हुई है. The IMA said in a statement, therefore, under the Section 3 of the Epidemic Disease Act, Section 188 of the Indian Penal Code, Ramdev deserves to be prosecuted for disobeying and causing danger to the lives of many by making them believe and make them not to take the advice of allopathy drugs. His quote about Favipiravir as medicine against fever is laughable, childish, and demonstrates his in-depth scientific knowledge. According to the body, Ramdev is a corporate giant of pharmaceutical units and has made several false accusations about his company products to mislead the public. Incidentally, viewers, the letter was signed by National President of the IMA, Dr. J.A. Jayalal, and Honorary Secretary General, Dr. Jayesh Lele. Dr. Jayalal was embroiled in a controversy earlier this year after he had said that he wanted to use hospitals to convert Hindus to Christians. Dr. Jayalal regards the platform of the Indian Medical Association as a springboard for him to share the love of Jesus Christ and be a living witness to God and encourage young medical students and doctors to receive Jesus as their personal savior. Furthermore, he accused the central government of advancing Hindutva by promoting Ayurveda and the Sanskrit language. That's all the news for today. Please join me at 8 o'clock for a discussion on a topic that is troubling every Hindu: love jihad and its impact. Thank you and good night, friends.